Welcome back here on the PHLY Sixers Podcast. Joining us today, our friend, our teammate from ALLCITY Network and DLLS Mavs, and he's the NBA reporter for us, the national NBA writer for ALLCITY, Tim Cato. Tim, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm having a lovely day. Good to be here. Always good to talk to you guys. How's everything up in Philly land?
It's
Cold.
17 degrees.
Exactly. That's where I was
Tim.
going to go. A little jealous of you because it's very cold here, man.
Oh, the cold's coming for us too. We're not escaping it even here in Dallas. I mean, it's not going to get to East Coast levels, but it is on its way. It will be here this weekend.
All right, man.
Just in time for Luka's return to Dallas.
Wanted to start off talking about the All-Star this week. Tyrese Maxey, second All-Star nod, first as an NBA All-Star starter for the Philadelphia 76ers. And you had a couple of stories up there for us on our network and, of course, here at allphly.com. First, talking about just who's deserving of these spots, because we also know that it's now going to World and USA, and the first run comes in players, media, and fans. So with Tyrese Maxey getting that All-Star berth, which we thought he should have been a starter and well-deserved, just your thoughts, talking about your story, then we'll get to your other piece that you had as well.
Yeah. I did my version. Unofficial. I don't have a vote this year, but I did my version of the All-Star team, starters and reserves. And for me, Tyrese Maxey was just very clearly a starter. To me, it was not really a difficult case, a difficult decision to be made. In fact, I thought that Donovan Mitchell versus Jaylen Brown, and I ended up going against what I've seen, a lot of popular opinion. I went with Donovan Mitchell over Jaylen Brown for kind of the fifth spot. But Tyrese had the fourth spot to me in my eyes, and what I've seen this season, pretty much the whole time. It was an easy decision. I don't think there's anybody in the NBA who moves quite like Max. It's just, his blend of speed and stop-start athleticism and the way that he leverages how good his jump shot is. There's just so many times where he takes one more dribble than you're expecting, and all of a sudden, he was 20 feet out. It looked like there was no danger, and then all of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey is 2 feet in the paint. That stuff happens just so often. He leverages, he shapes to shoot, and then explodes out of it with just such it's just so deadly. Like there are times where it is very clear to me. Maybe not the Suns game last night, and the Suns defense, put some respect on their name. But there are times where defenders just don't know what to do with Tyrese Maxey, and that to me is the mark of the superstardom that he has reached.
So, sticking to All-Star a little bit, Tim, Joel Embiid has played 23 games this year. He's at about 24, 7, and 3 average-wise, 47% from the field, like putting up some pretty good counting stats, and certainly is not having the availability issues the same as last year. But how far away from the reserve picture do you think he should be, or do you think he should be in there in general? And then a follow-up to that, is he on Team USA or Team World? Because as we all know, he won a gold medal with the U.S., but very famously from Cameroon, of course.
I think he's on Team Neither. I think he's in the conversation.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely in the picture. I think his play, especially this month, and for the whole season, it's picked up this month. But he has been, improving and bettering, and starting to look like a Joel Embiid you can trust and really, just have faith in, over this month, of course. But I don't think that he has a all-star case, or maybe I should say he has an all-star case, but it's a little bit on the outside looking in. Just when you look at the totality of his season, I considered him. He was in my near misses. He was not an all-star to me, and even if we're in an injury selection, choose a few more different players, he's at least 2 or 3 players away from where I would be considering him for the Eastern Conference reserves.
More roster spots, by the way. So there's that on Team USA than it is on Team World. So Joel would be Team USA. Real fast, though, before Derek gets to his, because I wanted to ask you, Team Neither for LeBron James for the first time in years. Do they give him the legacy Dwayne Wade, Dirk Nowitzki, you get in because you're LeBron James, and his numbers, as Kyle laid out, he's like at 25, 26 games for the Los Angeles Lakers. So it's not that much different for LeBron James than Joel Embiid. Does he have a case?
Yeah, I don't, and I don't know. I don't think he's retiring this year, but I also understand that LeBron James is LeBron James, and he's also like Joel Embiid, probably on the outside looking in for the same reasons. He wasn't available that much early in the year, and it's kind of ramped up. Again, I'd probably say actually very similar to Joel Embiid. He's probably like 2 or 3 names shy of where I would have him in as a Western Conference reserve. But I do agree that it's LeBron James, guys. I am okay bending the rules to get him in there because he's basketball, man. He is this era, last era,
and it's in Los Angeles
era of basketball. Yeah, I'd find a way to put him in.
Yeah, I mean, look, the All-Star game to some extent is about people seeing guys like LeBron, just like the people that they really love and want to see on that stage more than anything else. So I'm with you. Derek, what do you...
Devon kind of referenced it a little bit earlier, but you had another piece about the All-Star game up about player voting habits. And this also kind of started a while back when fans almost voted Zaza Pachulia in as an All-Star starter. Now media members and players vote as well. What is the most ridiculous All-Star result? That could be fans, that could be from players that you have seen covering the league.
I mean, like just the voting this year, or just most ridiculous starter of all time.
Either take it any way you want.
The voting this year, I'll put it this way: the piece is up on it's on all PHLY. NBA players still don't take their All-Star votes seriously. Just look at the ballots. The NBA told me that 386 players submitted ballots. 364 different players received a vote to be an All-Star starter.
So this would be like if we got a chance to vote for the best media members and we all voted for ourselves.
It's exactly like that. It is honestly, I think we have slightly more shame. I legitimately think that we have more shame than NBA players. And, the crux of I'm not making any point with this piece. I'm not upset at the players. Some people are. You're welcome to be. I find this funny. I think I did this piece because I find it very, very funny that I am pretty sure Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon voted for themselves. They both got one. Either that, or there is somebody in the locker room who's just going around and voting for all the vets.
I tend to think that your instincts are on that one, Tim. I think Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon are maybe giving themselves a nice pat on the back after some long and productive careers.
If we're guessing how Bronny James got 2 votes, I think we can probably come to that conclusion pretty quickly.
We're all trying to find the guy who
Jason
did that.
Tatum got a vote. Christian Brown got 16 votes.
Wow.
So that's something.
Not the whole team.
He's played 14 games. It went beyond the locker room, clearly.
Maybe we should have asked about
Anthony
him instead of
Simons.
LeBron.
Anthony Simons got 23 votes.
Wow.
I didn't know that Anthony Simons had shooters. I knew he was a shooter. I didn't know he had shooters. So, there's just a bunch of really funny results in here. Their top vote getter was Cade Cunningham, he appeared on 41% of ballots. That was the player who had the most votes out of anybody out of all these player ballots. So,
well, maybe
it was
we
just
should.
a fun thing to kind of dive into.
Can we switch to ranked choice voting? Can we make that a debate within the sports space instead of just the political sphere? I feel like that'd be fun to see them turn it into this too.
Well, again, if the top vote getter is getting 41% of the vote, I don't know how much that's actually going to change things.
All right, Tim Cato, national NBA writer for ALLCITY, joining us here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Sticking with Tyrese Maxey before we get to any trade deadline conversation, you just talked about all the great things that he has done, and he should certainly have been an all-star starter, but could you just talk about from afar what you've seen and some of the research you've done as well on how great of a season he has had, especially after last year where we had a lot of questions as the season came to a conclusion with their poor record. And this year he has just really bust through all of that and reach levels that we weren't even sure that he could still do?
So I've got two stats for you guys. The first is Maxey's pick and rolls. They're in the top 5 of distance they start away from the rim. And maybe that sounds a little bit counterintuitive. That's actually a really, really, really good thing. The other players in the top 4 are Steph, Luka, James Harden, Anthony Simons. And so maybe that's why he got 23 votes or whatever. Tyrese Maxey has the ability to pull defenders out, and they have to guard him even when he's starting 30, 35 feet away. They have to guard that much more space. It's absolutely a testament to the threat of his shot, the threat of his speed. And I think it's something that really allows him to play around and just make teams cover more space when they're guarding him. Another thing Tyrese Maxey has with his pick and rolls, he runs the highest percentage of screens with somebody in the dunker spot, which I know you guys have seen this. Like Philly is constantly using the dunker spot. There's constantly somebody filling those areas. It's not necessarily a good or bad thing. It's just a thing that, sometimes when I'm about to talk about a player like Maxey, when I'm curious, I just kind of go look around for what very niche stats they lead the league in. And I found that one interesting. And I'm just kind of curious to hear you guys talk about what you feel the spacing has been. This is a very guard-driven attack. Obviously, it changes when Embiid's on the court. But for a guard-driven attack, I do wonder, and I'm not saying yes or no, this is bad or good. Do you feel like the spacing is best set up for this? These two guards in the backcourt, to get downhill, to play off each other. Do you feel like there's times that those layups, those driving downhill layups, aren't there just kind of because of the way that Philly is set up?
I think it was specifically a problem recently in the Cavs matchup where Mobley was able to roam off of Dominic Barlow as their corner shooter or guy operating out of the dunker spot. And so that was a problem for Tyrese. It was a problem for Joel, who he's dealing with Jared Allen already. And then there's a second defender kind of always waiting there. And I think that ties into the trade deadline stuff, because I think a lot of what we have talked about and fans are thinking is like, how can they address a bunch of problems maybe with one player? And it's tough, right? Because at the 3-4-5 hybrid across those positions, you're not going to find a lot of guys who are available for cheap and can defend, rebound, and shoot. Like those are just, if you get one of those players, generally you're going to keep them in the organization for a long time. So I think the stat that you bring up does show the friction that's at least driven a little bit by the roster, where it's Dom Barlow, it's Jabari Walker, it's even like Kelly Oubre. Like Kelly Oubre is a better offensive player than those guys, but I think by and large, if he's your weak side corner guy or the guy in the dunker, teams are going to cheat a lot in the paint.
I will say, I looked up the Barlow numbers when he plays small ball center. Not a lot, 169 possessions. And again, he plays it very similar to Bona and Drummond. He's floating to the corner, and he's in the dunker spot a lot, just like they are. The numbers are fantastic. The numbers love Barlow at center. I think it's been a few games. The last game I saw that Philly ran it was the end of last calendar year. Just something that popped out. It's probably small sample size theater. But I agree. I guess what I'm coming to is like, oh my God, how good would Maxey and VJ be if there was a spacing 5-out center on this team? And every team wants that. That's the dream of anyone. Those players are very hard to come by. Joel Embiid obviously shoots threes, maybe not in the same way, but just in terms of volume, there's maybe like 10 centers in the entire NBA, maybe 15 who have more 3-point volume than him. But it did jump out to me a little bit. And I guess even with Embiid, some of his spacing and spotting up, it's still so methodical that it doesn't really lend itself to what you would think of being a 5-out offense. But again, that's every team's dream. Every team would love to have a player like that. It's just something that I was thinking about looking at this team, thinking about how the roster construction is so built and so lethal around those two guards.
speaking of wings who can't shoot, did you want to ask about the trade deadline?
Yeah, so there are Dallas. You have a lot of connections down to Dallas, Tim. That's where you have cut your teeth, so to speak, was covering the Mavs. So a couple guys I think that we had tossed around, Najee Marshall being one of them, Daniel Gafford maybe being another, as maybe not guys who are like they're holding them out there for anybody to get, but are they available, number one? And number two, how do you see either of those guys fitting with what the Sixers have and the type of weaknesses that they need to fill between now and the deadline?
I think Daniel Gafford is available. That's my sense. Not hashtag reporting on this, but my sense is that Daniel Gafford is probably the most available player on the Mavericks roster. And I don't know if that's a better fit for, I don't know if he's that much better than Bona. I don't know if he's that much. He is very different. He's a very different type of player than Drummond. I don't know if he's a better player per se than Drummond. Certainly bouncier. He's a good shot, like rim protector. His numbers are really good around the rim, or they were last year. They dipped this year. But he's not a good defender per se. The on-off stuff is always, even when Dallas was good before the trade, all of the on-off numbers vastly favored Derek Lively, who's just a little bit more mobile, better in space, can cover more ground. Daniel Gafford is I don't know if he's bringing anything that Philly doesn't have on the roster right now. Najee Marshall, I could imagine him being traded for an offer that blows Dallas away. My sense is that their inclination is not to trade him, that they really value him. He is one of those guys who just tallies up drives over and over again. One of the best driving role players, weak side, attacking closeouts, even though he doesn't really shoot that well. He's just a very physical defender. He is the best floater in the NBA, and not hyperbole. Like, the stats back that out. He's just sensational there. Honestly, Trendon Watford is somebody who I've joked is like saucy Najee Marshall with the way that his handles. He uses his he's just much more flashy about the way he gets to the paint, and then often kind of finishes with floaters. But Najee is a better player. Najee is a very good player. I just don't know if he's not available on the cheap.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you look at the Sixers roster and think, oh, it's a Najee away from X. I won't even say championship or whatever. Just Najee fills this void that the Sixers have. I don't think he's that much of a player that just, fits in like a puzzle piece in a, area that is really needed. Quentin Grimes obviously does a lot of weak side driving and, sometimes finishing, sometimes, good ball distribution, sometimes the wackiest turnover you've ever seen in your entire life.
It's an adventure.
Yeah, but that is to me, when I look at Philly, if you traded for Najee, in some ways he would be filling a role that I think Quentin Grimes kind of does. Again, not one-to-one, but as that weak side secondary creator, driving player, that's who Najee is. I just don't see, for the price Dallas would be asking, I'm not sure I see the need for Philly to go pursue him.
All right, Tim, everybody go follow Tim Cato on Twitter, and make sure you follow him at Tim_Cato there. You can read him at alldlls.com and certainly at allphly.com as well.
All
Tim,
the sites.
All the sites, man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you joining us as always, man. And we look forward to more stories, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks, man.
Absolutely.